What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Fall Like an Eagle Podcast, Week 5 edition. We play the Pittsburgh Steelers this week at Heinz Field with a limited capacity in the crowd. Probably season ticket holders who chose to opt into the season, not out of the season, so that should be interesting. The Eagles are coming off of the Sunday night victory against the San Francisco 49ers. If you weren't living under a rock, they played pretty well. Nick Mullins looked like trash. The defense came to play. I don't even know half the players on our offense that produced in that game, but you know what? A win's a win. I actually won some money on that game, you know? All right, so I was at a bar. I'll explain this right now before we start. I was at a bar, all right, for the whole day. Now, I was going to bet the Eagles money line no matter what because I thought it was a sucker bet to pick San Francisco 49ers. I thought it was a pure sucker bet. So I was like, you know what? I lost on the bet before. I took the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Buffalo Bills under. I lost that by a half a point. So I told my buddy next to me, I was like, you know what? I'm loving this money line. I'm feeling it. Let me just put $2,000 on the money line. So it paid off at the end of the game. I was getting a little bit worried there because, you know, it looked like it was one of those games where it was getting a little bit nerve-wracking, especially the last play of the game where C.J. Beathard threw it into the end zone and it was tipped and fell incomplete. But yeah, it was a really fun time, and it was good to see that the Philadelphia Eagles played with some heart like we wanted them to. And yeah, definitely a good time, and I'm looking forward to see what we do this week. So I'm going to bring my buddy Zach. Zach, how you doing tonight?
Good. I haven't gotten to do the post game, but what a gritty performance by Carson Wentz. I know it wasn't perfect. I know it wasn't magical, but man, it was gritty. It was gut-wrenching. He had a lot of heart. He showed a lot of heart. The team showed heart. The team gathered around him and played well. And at the end of the day, the biggest stat of the day was the W, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely, my friend. And the W is all that matters. Now, last week I said that Carson Wentz had to play well for us to win, and he did just that. He had that one tipped interception where I was like, you know what? It really didn't matter because the way that I think it was a linebacker that called it, it was kind of fluky. So that was one interception. He's had an interception every single game. I understand that, but that ball that he placed in Fukam's head, I think that's his name. I can't really remember what his last name is, but the ball that he placed in his hands was so perfect that the wide receiver was literally looking up, not at the ball, and it put him right into his arms. And he scored the touchdown. So that was one of the best plays I've seen out of Carson Wentz since 2017. And, you know, we need him to play like that down the stretch, especially with Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey coming back this week. I'm pretty sure that both his players will be active on Sunday. And I'm kind of excited because, you know what, I've been a Debbie Downer when it came to this team. But let's face it, this NFC East is pure trash. And I honestly think that it's the way the Dallas Cowboys are playing with them only scoring a ton of points but no defense on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like it's anyone's division between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. As much as the Eagles have a ton of injuries and, you know, they didn't look great the first 3 weeks of the season, I really feel like they're still in play. So, you know, I have to give kudos to you because Zomp laughed in your face when you said we were going to beat the 49ers. And I told him to text you and apologize. I hope he texted and I hope he apologized to you because – that was big kudos to you because you called the living shit out of that game, and Nick Mullins looked like trash at the end of that game. But, yeah, we definitely got to give credit where credit is due. So, Zach, good job last week. And let's move on to this Pittsburgh Steelers game because, you know, we're going up to Heinz Field. We don't usually win up in Heinz Field. I don't remember the last time we beat the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh at all. I don't think we won in that stadium. Maybe we did. I don't really remember. But I looked at the Pittsburgh Steelers team as a whole, up and down the roster. Their defense is good. All right. They have Bud Dupree. They have Watt's brother, They have Minka Fitzpatrick, Joe Hayden. They have a ton of studs on the defensive side of the ball. What I'm not worried about is the offensive side of the ball. They have James Conner, flash one-hit wonder, flash in the pan. I don't think he's anything special. You have that fullback. I think it's Watt. I think his last name is Watt. Their offensive line is good, but let's face it. Ben Roethlisberger isn't what he used to be. Ben Roethlisberger, he can't escape from pressure. And if our pressure gets to Big Ben, I know he's tough to take down because he's so tall and big. But the problem is if our pressure crams up and loads the box and takes down and gets to Ben Roethlisberger consistently, I feel like we can win this game. Not only win this game, I feel like we can win this game by double digits because their defense, yeah, it's good. But in order to win the game, you're going to have to score points on the Pittsburgh side of the ball. And the way our defense played last week against a team that, honestly, if I'm looking at the playmakers and the stars on both teams, I think they're even, to be honest with you. So I could see the Philadelphia Eagles going into Pittsburgh, and I can see them pulling off this upset. I can, because the first week, the Pittsburgh Steelers had trouble with the New York Giants, not a good football team. Before the bye, this last week, because of the Tennessee Titans COVID mess up, this past week, well, the week after, a week before, they played the Houston Texans. Not a good football team, just fired their coach. Had a tough time with them for most of the part. They played the New York Giants, and they played, I have to look up the last team. Denver Broncos, not a good football team, and they had trouble with them. So if you look at all 3 games that the Pittsburgh Steelers played, they have their worst quarterback, actually, in this game because Ben Roethlisberger can't rely on his feet anymore, and he needs that wide-open playmaker down the field. And then we're going to double cover Juju Smith-Schuster. We're going to do that. So we're going to take away their best threat down the field. So who else do they have? They have James Conner. We're going to load the box, so he's not going to do much. Their tight end, who is their tight end, Vance McDonald? I don't feel like he's going to do much. So, talk to me, Zach. How do you see this game playing out? Because from what I've just said, I feel like we're going to win this game. Like, I truly do.
All right, so here's the thing that I've been saying. This defense is not as bad as it's been for the Philadelphia Eagles with all the non-turnovers. We went into last week's game, and I kept saying, it's got to change. It's got to change. We got to get turnovers at some point. It happened to come in a bunch. We didn't get any of the first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Then we get them all in a row. The defensive line looked a hell of a lot better. Even with Fletcher Cox going in and out of that game, that defensive line looked really good for the Philadelphia Eagles. If they can get pressure on Ben Roethlisberger, I'm not worried about him. Darius Slay's going to cover Juju Smith-Schuster. The one guy I am worried about, if we're putting a blanket on Juju, is Chase Claypool, who is a absolute deep threat. And you've seen Avonte Maddox and all of them get burned by some deep threats. You've seen Jalen Mills get beat. I thought Jalen Mills played a great game last week. He gave up the 1 touchdown, but that was a great throw. That was a great catch. That wasn't really bad defense on that side. For me, it's stop the running game. And they got a 3-headed monster there. They have James Conner, Benny Snell, and then every once in a while you'll see Jalen Samuels. Not really, but it's really Benny Snell and James Conner. So you got those two going at it. They've been doing good in the rushing department. Ben Roethlisberger's been playing very well, but it's against 3 crappy teams. So it's like, what are you really going to see with the Steelers team? I think this is a good test for the Philadelphia Eagles. I also think it's a good test for the Pittsburgh Steelers to see where they're both at. And I've talked about it. The lack of the preseason is finally coming into its own. We're finally going to start seeing what teams really are. Like everybody after 2 weeks. Gardner Minshew's the greatest quarterback. Kept telling you guys, relax, relax, relax. So this is where we're going to start seeing teams actually mold and be an identifier and identify what they do well and keep doing it. So I think this is a big game for both teams because they're actually going to play, upper level talent. And that's not to take anything away from the 49ers, but they had defensive injuries. They had offensive injuries. They're playing their third string quarterback as their second string quarterback, their second string quarterbacks, their third string quarterback. They don't know what they're doing over there. So Yeah, this is going to be a good matchup. I think we're going to actually face a team that has good offensive weapons, like we did with the Rams, but we weren't ready for that. So let's see
Mhm.
what we're going to go against. I don't really like Mike Tomlin as a coach, to be honest with you.
Really?
I don't think he has a great game plan. I think he's relied a lot on talent. He's always had Le'Veon Bell. He's had Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster. He's lucked into Ben Roethlisberger. So, they've had a great defense and they have a quarterback that can make big plays when big plays are ready to be made. I
Mhm.
think last year was his greatest coaching job, though. I think that saved his life.
I've always thought that Mike Tomlin was a top 5 coach in the NFL. Like I thought if Doug Peterson were to get fired and Mike Tomlin were to get fired at the same time, Mike Tomlin would replace Doug Peterson almost immediately. That's how good of a coach I thought that Mike Tomlin has been throughout his career. Now you did hit the nail on a head. Claypool from Notre Dame. I feel like that's where he came from. I completely missed him because last year he was the prime target of who was it? Book?
Hodges,
No, wait, who?
Devlin Hodges, or whatever the fuck his name is, Duck.
Claypool. I felt like didn't Claypool just graduate from Notre Dame?
Maybe he did.
Yeah, well, Claypool's a problem. I understand. Honestly, I missed out on Claypool. All right, I'm sorry about that. I did some research before the game. Claypool, yeah, he's a dynamic threat. So we're gonna probably double one of those two guys, Smith Schuster or Claypool. And then the one's gonna be one-on-one coverage, which kind of scares me. So yeah, that's a little different. But it all comes down to the blitzing. It comes down to the pressure that we put on Big Ben at the end of the day. Because if we make him throw up a bad pass, Warrior's in a position to pick it off. So, that he said the three-headed monster with James Conner, Benny Snell from Kentucky, and I forgot who else he said.
But Jalen Samuel hasn't really played much this year.
Right. But I feel Benny Snell is actually their best back. I felt I missed his name too because Benny Snell, he's been really dynamic in my opinion. I feel like Benny Snell has been their best back overall. And James Conner, since his first year after Le'Veon Bell was pretty much non-existent, I feel like Benny Snell has been their best back. I really do.
Now, are you worried about this offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles? I know a lot of people are talking about how great they played. Honestly, they played decent last week. I think a lot of it had to do with them moving the pocket and Carson Wentz getting out of the pocket a lot. I felt like they did enough to give him time, but really it was mainly Carson Wentz doing what we've been waiting for since 2017, moving the pocket, scrambling for a couple of yards, even if it wasn't a first down, just getting a couple of yards, sliding and getting a positive play. And I think Doug Peterson actually did a great job. And I know we knock on him a lot. He came out, he was aggressive. You must have listened to the podcast because I was angry that he was not aggressive in that Cincinnati Bengals game. And he came out the very first score, decided to go for two, and the rest was history. He went for it on fourth down a couple of times in the game. It paid off. Sometimes that gamble's not going to pay off, but I liked what he did. I liked the aggressiveness. I liked the character that he put back into the team that was there the last couple of years. So for me, that was great. For the offensive line, I don't think they played as well as everybody thinks they did.
No.
But we'll see. We'll see. This is a great defensive line we're going against.
No, our offensive line isn't that good. Honestly, I think it's on tier to be a below average offensive line right now. But the main part is Carson Wentz made plays, and you need him to do that to win games. You need your quarterback to play well for the team to mesh and play well together. It starts with the quarterback, and that's what a lot of people miss down the road. The quarterback in 2017 was such a crucial part of our run with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles because they both played very well at the biggest times, at the most gut-wrenching times, and that's when your team plays behind the quarterback. When the quarterback plays well, the whole team plays well. When the quarterback sucks, the team doesn't care and they don't play well. That's just how it goes with every single team. I don't know if people live under a rock, but Carson Wentz made plays last week. There's this one play where I forgot which wide receiver he threw to. I'm sorry, I was so hammered that game. I forget which wide receiver he threw to, but he made a throw while he was jumping in the air. And that's the first time I've seen a throw like that out of Carson Wentz since 2017. And that made me curious going down the road to where is Carson Wentz back? Because all the stuff that's in his head, is he back to where, he was a dynamic threat as a QB? from 2017, and he's not letting the haters get to him anymore? Is he back and he's just playing his own game? Like, there's a lot of questions I have to ask myself because I was so out on Carson Wentz after the Bengals tie. I was so out on him, and now it's like drawing me back in because I saw plays last week on the road, backs against the wall, in a division where anyone can literally win it, and he goes out there with the pieces that he has and made it happen, And I got to give my hats off to Carson Wentz. I really do, because he played a great game. Now, a lot of people are going to say, how did he play a great game? He only had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. He played a great game because he needed to make plays in key situations. It wasn't him playing Dak Prescott ball to where he made his stats happen in garbage time when they had no shot whatsoever. The touchdown that you saw was in a key part of the game with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter when we needed it the most. All right, to a wide receiver that played at Old Dominion. I didn't even know they had a football program at Old Dominion. All right, and he lays it right in the breadbasket to go ahead and never look back. That is the kind of play I want out of Carson Wentz from here until 10 years from now. I want him to be here forever if he's going to play like that. And if he plays like that, we're going to see multiple titles here. That's what I've been missing from Carson Wentz. Plays in those big spots. And I was so it was fun that I won that much money on Sunday. I understand that, but it was even more fun to see it looking like Carson Wentz was having fun again, being himself. And that's what you want your $100 million quarterback to be. Just go out there, not put all the pressure on your back. Just have fun. Go out there, do your job, have fun, and be part of the team. And I just feel like he did everything he could possibly ask out of your franchise quarterback. And that in itself made me so happy for Carson Wentz on Sunday because, he got a lot of pressure from his own fans, like the fans that only like him and not the team. He got a lot of pressure going into that game saying, oh, you're going to lose the last fans that you had. And then all of a sudden he goes and wins one of the biggest games in the last 3 years that he's played. So, dude, I was impressed. I was thoroughly impressed. I really was. So whenever he plays well, I'm going to give him credit. Whenever he plays bad, I'm going to give him negative thoughts. And he played a great ball game. And I'm saying great because of the reasons I just listed. He got the job done when he needed to. And that's what you need out of your guy. And I was very impressed with him on Sunday. I was.
I think Doug Peterson gets a lot of credit here because he simplified the playbook. He got guys open. I know Doug doesn't believe in layups, but for someone that doesn't believe in layups, he certainly got some layups going for Carson Wentz, got him going early. I know he only threw for just under 200 yards, but like we talked about, he made the plays when they needed to be made. He let the game come to him. He didn't force anything outside of that one errant throw that got intercepted by the linebacker. But outside of that, he did a great job. I think Doug called the game perfectly. They didn't shy away from the run too crazily. I thought they could have went with the run a little more, or, an extension of the run where you get the swing passes out there to the running backs or something of that nature, kind of like you see with the Patriots, how they do an extension of the run game through the pass. Maybe we'll see that going against the Steelers because they got a great run defense. So, if you're looking for another great game from Carson, this has to be the game because the run game is probably going to be a non-factor. Miles Sanders is probably going to have to get his yards coming out of the backfield as a receiver and not as a runner because this is as tough as a defensive line and as great as a linebacking core as there is in the NFL. So the running game is going to be non-existent. I really like that one throw you were talking about to Boston Scott where he got on the move, he made the throw on the run, jumping up, throwing the pass. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Derek Jeter hop throw. I know you're a Yankees fan, so you know all about that. But he played a great game. Let's give credit where credit's due. But at the same time, he had a lot of missed opportunities as well. So, everybody likes to learn when you get a victory. Nobody likes to learn when you lose. And that's what we got the first couple of weeks. Now we're learning on a winning streak with our one game, going into a Pittsburgh Steelers game where Ben Roethlisberger supposedly said they got the shit end of the stick with having this mini bye week. I don't know how that works, but, that's the COVID thing. I don't understand everything that's going on there.
Well, I think what he meant by that is they have to play 14 straight weeks now without rest. So yeah, you get an early bye week. That's great. You get to prepare for your next team, but it's not a point in the time in the season where you want that bye week. Like, I can understand what they're saying. Like, they got it really early and they didn't want it there. Especially for someone as old as Ben Roethlisberger that needs as much rest as possible going into the playoffs. And they did get the shit out of this stick. They really did. And I agree with that comment. Now, am I a Big Ben person? No, I'm not at all. He's a rapist. And I'm just going to say it how it is. I'm not a Big Ben guy. I think he's a horrible person. But is he a good quarterback? Yeah, he's a great quarterback. I feel like he's a person you need to put talent around to be great. But he puts the ball where you need it to be. And for the most part, he wins games. And he does have 2 titles under his belt, one against Seattle, one against Arizona. And he's a winner. Now, he's not a great person. I said that. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, I just feel like he's old. He doesn't use his body. He can't use his feet anymore. Well, he never really did anyway. He can't use his feet. He's going to be standing there like a statue. So the Eagles have to get their pressure, which they've pretty much front-loaded going into the season and worked on nothing else other than Darius Slay. So you got to use your pressure this game. You need to make it work. You got to get the Big Ben. You got to sack the hell out of him 9 times. And there you go. We win. Easy game.
We talk about how Carson Wentz puts the ball on the ground. Another person that puts the ball on the ground a lot is Big Ben, and I've seen it multiple times where it's come against the Browns, come against the Ravens, where in the biggest matchups of the season where he's holding on to the ball too long and it's getting strip sacked. So, the Eagles need to practice that during practice. I hope they have been during this week where they're going for the sack, but they're also reaching and extending that arm, trying to slap at the ball because he does hold it all willy-nilly, and it's there for the taking, and hopefully, we can get a ball on there and, take another turnover, because that was one of the issues the first 3 weeks of the season was the lack of turnovers. We didn't have one single turnover outside of that special teams botch. Mm-hmm. That was the only turnover that the Eagles had, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting because a defense can only do so much, especially a Jim Schwartz defense, which is a bend, don't break mentality type of defense. You rely on those turnovers to change the field, and that's exactly what they got last week.
Yeah, they did, and they made it work. And I just feel like, I have a lot of crow to eat, but at the same time, I want to see them play consistently. Like last week was great. Don't get me wrong. They played a really exceptional football game, and they came out with the victory. Nick Mullins played terrible. CJ Beathard was there. You saw that how Trevor was saying, we won against CJ Beathard, man. Like he was making fun of him, and he was the guy that ended the game. Yep. So, it was a great win. I thought it was a pretty good win. But at the same time, I need consistency. I need them to go into Pitt, and I need them to win this game. I'm not asking for heart. I'm asking for them to win 2 straight games, and then we're on to beat another team. And honestly, I just feel like they need – I think this is a must-win game. I don't care if it's against an out-of-conference team. I don't care if it's meaningless when it comes to the division. I don't care. Show me that you're for real again. Show me that this quarterback is who he was last Sunday, and show me you can go into Pittsburgh and get this W. Show me that you could beat these good teams. San Fran, are they a good team? Yeah, when everyone's healthy, they're a good team. I know you went into San Fran on the road, Sunday Night Football. I understand that. But to me, San Fran, they're far away from their Super Bowl team because everyone's injured. Who was out there from their Super Bowl team? Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. These are guys that, they could help you out, but not when every other piece around you is hurt, like Jimmy Garoppolo, Richard Sherman. Like these are Nick Bosa. Like these are huge pieces that we're missing. So I want them to go into Pittsburgh's house, and I want them to dismantle this team. I want them to go and make sure that Pittsburgh second guesses themselves every single week. Like, how the fuck did this team beat us so badly? I want them to go in there and just tear them limb from limb. I want them to never think about Ben Roethlisberger in a positive way again. I want them to think of the guy that raped that poor woman that one night. I want them to think that this guy's the biggest piece of shit, so they bench him for their backup starting next week. I want this guy to retire on Sunday. That's what I want.
I want Josh Dobbs to end up playing in the 3rd or 4th quarter. That's what I want.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs sucks. He's terrible.
Tennessee guys, That's
by
probably
the way, Kobe Bryant Jr. 24 is asking, Yo, what's the other guy's channel so I could sub? Do you have a YouTube channel or no? I kind of forget.
I don't really use it.
Nah. He has a YouTube channel, but he doesn't really use it. But thank you for the suggestion or comment, whatever. But yeah, I mean, wow, this was a really quick half hour, Zach. But hey, listen, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going as long as you're okay.
2020 vision. You are never satisfied. Never satisfied, 2020 vision. Right now, we haven't been able to unleash Miles Sanders. You got to realize that we just played one of the best defenses in the league. You know, you're probably sitting there loving on Nick Foles. He had a terrible game last week, but we're not talking about it because the Indianapolis Colts is the best defense in the league. You know who's right behind them? The San Francisco 49ers. Even with the injuries, did you watch that game? They were flying around the ball. They had a great defense, even with all the injuries, even without Solomon Thomas, even without Nick Bosa, even without Richard Sherman. They did a great job. Even with Verrett going down, they still did a great job and a great defensive presence where you could see why they're the number 2 defense in the league. So, you know, don't try to dismantle what we're not doing and try to pay attention to what we are doing and moving forward, how that continues to develop throughout the season.
Mm-hmm. And Foles, he actually has a pick tonight, so I mean it's not looking great there. I mean, as Tampa Bay's up 10-0, so that answers your question.
That was the wide receiver's fault.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but you know what? There was this one throw where it was like 3rd down, and he overthrew him by a mile, and it was pretty simple. Foles, he's not looking great, but you know he won a Super Bowl with us, so whatever.
You got to know your quarterback. So right now, Matt Nagy, I know they were in Kansas City together, but right now they're trying to get, you know, a little bit of cohesiveness, figure out what play calls work, what play calls don't work, what Nick Foles like, what Matt Nagy likes. He's got to get on the same page with his wide receivers. Some of the same things that I was saying with Carson Wentz earlier in this year, where he needs to get on the same page with his receivers. Same thing with Nick Foles in Chicago. He needs to get on the same page with his receivers. And I know you're saying, oh, he went to a new team. It's a completely different circumstance. Take a look at the Eagles wide receiver room going into week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. It's a different wide receiver room than he was dealing with last year. So whether he wants to admit it, he needed to get on the same page with these wide receivers. The Travis Fulgham catch, you know, that was just a great pass right in the breadbasket. He even said, listen, I almost gave that one up. And, you know, it was just too good of a pass to be able to not catch it.
Mm-hmm. It was. I mean, and we have a good question from 2020 Vision. Can Wentz continue to keep playing like San Fran, or is he at a great risk? Listen, if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you're always at a great risk. All right, you saw Joe Burrow against us a couple weeks ago when Malik Jackson put him into the ground, and he's trying to make himself not vulnerable ever again in that position because it hurts so bad. You're always at a great risk when you're a quarterback in the National Football League. All right, but the thing about Wentz is when he uses his feet and gets away from danger and he rolls out like that and he makes the plays down the field in stride, he's a great quarterback. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He cannot be a consistent pocket passer. He can't be. He's not a consistent pocket passer. And I think he's finally starting to realize that, which is why he made those dynamic plays on those dynamic throws on those dynamic plays last week, because the guy should know his body, and the guy should know how he played football growing up. That's what he should go back to. And I think we got a glimpse on that last Sunday. And I feel like he's going to play consistently like that again. We just need the talent around him. We need Alshon to come back because he's a big part, whether you like it or not. I feel like Alshon Jeffrey is one of our, if not our best wide receiver on this team right now. And you got to get Deshaun Jackson back when healthy. I know everyone's saying he's 33, he's always unhealthy, blah, 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 blah. When he's healthy and he's on the field, he's a dynamic threat, especially down the field, especially with Jalen Reagor out right now, because we don't have that speed. So we need both those guys back. We need to keep them healthy. We need Miles Sanders to work. We need Boston Scott to work. And we need Wentz to be Carson Wentz. And we need the coaching to be great. It's just how it all comes down to.
I don't think Carson Wentz is more at risk whether he's running the ball or staying in the pocket. Where I think he's at risk is when he refuses to give up on a play, because you're going to leave yourself up to more vulnerability and you're going to have nowhere to go with the ball. And we've seen him hold on to the ball way longer than he needs to, and that's when he gets smacked. So for me, it doesn't matter if he's running out of the pocket or staying in the pocket. He's not at risk. You're at the same amount of risk either way. It's when you hold on to the ball too long or try to extend a play that's dead already. And you've seen it with Tua Tagovailoa. You've seen it with RG3. You've seen it with Aaron Rodgers, where these guys try to make plays out of nothing, and there's no play to be made. Holding on to the ball too long, you break a collarbone, you tear an ACL, you do this, you do that. So for me, it's a greater risk if he keeps on not giving up on a play when the play's dead.
Right. I agree. And we have from Kobe Bryant Jr. 24. Another question for you. Big Ben, in my opinion, can't roll out anymore and had trouble against Denver and the Giants, last-ranked D-line. I feel like we're going to get consistent 3-and-outs. I wouldn't say consistent because our defense really hasn't gotten the pressure this year, but if we do get consistent pressure, I feel like they're not going to do much. You saw in 2016 when it was Carson Wentz's rookie year, they only scored 3 points against us on the road, because we shut them down. And did we have a great team that year? No, we had a 7-9 team that year. So you can do it. You can get Big Ben rattled. You can completely shut them down. And they had a much better team that year than they do this year. So, yeah, this is what I'm saying. If the D-line comes to play, if Fletcher Cox comes to play, Malik Jackson comes to play, I see no problem with us shutting down or at least containing Big Ben because Big Ben is old. He's very old. He's ancient. He's a dinosaur. Is he going to win a Super Bowl again? Probably not. So this is the one game where we have to make a statement and we need our pressure to succeed. The one thing we invested heavily in was our defensive line, and we needed to succeed. And I feel like we can. That was a great question, Kobe Bryant Jr. I really appreciate that.
Now, what did you like about the linebacking core? Specifically, Alex Singleton.
What do I like about the linebacking core?
Yeah. Did you see anything that you might not have seen the first couple of weeks that you've seen in that San Francisco game?
To be honest with you, I thought the defensive line played a lot better. Yeah. Linebacking core, I guess they looked better, but at the same time, come on, bro. Let's be honest. Our linebacking core is shit. You and I both know this. It's the weakest spot on our team. They looked good against Nick Mullins, but Nick Mullins sucks, dude. I want to see them against someone like Big Ben when Big Ben's not pressured, and then we'll talk about it. But, you saw Nate Gary against Tyler Higbee against the Rams. He got exposed. These guys just are not professional linebackers. And I'm not going to say that they played well last week because the way San Francisco played on the offensive side of the ball, I feel like it was more San Francisco self-destructing more than us creating havoc last week. So that's why I'm curious to see what happens in the Pittsburgh game, because if we play well against Pittsburgh, we're back. We were talking about a top 5 draft pick, all right? And then all of a sudden we're back. So that's how bipolar this Philadelphia Eagles franchise is. You go from, hey, let's tank. Let's try to get Trevor Lawrence or Jamar Chase into, hey, maybe we could go to the playoffs and do something, So it really starts in Pittsburgh for me. It starts here. It starts now because the Dallas Cowboys literally suck, all right? The Giants literally suck. The Washington football team literally just benched Dwayne Haskins because he sucks, right? So
for a guy that sucks.
Wait, what?
For another guy that sucks.
Yep, Kyle Allen, right?
Yep.
Trash, dude. That franchise is so garbage.
I
can't believe that we lost that
move. I don't understand why they made that move. There has to be something more because you don't go from the first string quarterback to the fourth string quarterback in practice. That doesn't happen.
Dwayne Haskins couldn't move the ball. The way he throws the ball, he threw one play down the field, maybe once every 15 times. The way the guy throws, it's all slants and 5-yard curl routes. The guy doesn't throw downfield. He doesn't take chances. This is what he did at Ohio State as well. He's the kind of quarterback that cannot win you a football game. Is he a decent quarterback in college? Was he? Yeah, but he also played for Ohio State. All right. When you're put in the NFL, you see what your true colors are immediately. And this guy just did not have it. People were bringing up the race card with Ron Rivera saying he was racist for benching him, blah, 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 blah. Then they compared Daniel Jones side by side to him. But you have to understand something. The Giants have no other options other than Daniel Jones. All of their cards are in on Daniel Jones because they think he's the next big thing. Washington Redskins just picked Dwayne Haskins. They didn't go into the season expecting. They didn't go down the road expecting for him to be a stud. It was pretty much a project coming out of the draft. They picked him with the 15th pick, I believe. It was like something in the mid-round. Daniel Jones was picked with the 7th pick. It's completely different, So I just don't I don't get why people bring up the race car all the time. I mean, Nate Gary just had some trouble today. I understand that, but it just seems a little bit too easy for me when people bring that up over a situation. Do I think Kyle Allen's good? No, not really. But the fact that Alex Smith is the backup kind of gives me hope that Alex Smith can be the quarterback again, because that would be a great story. I'm not going to lie. That'd be a phenomenal story. The way the guy went out on a gurney, his leg was literally smashed in 4 places. Disgusting, made me want to vomit. And this guy has a shot to come back and and do it again. So let me see some of these comments. Jonathan Joseph, future start-in left tackle, Mailata or Dillard? Great question, Jonathan Joseph. I will start off with this one. Mailata. Dillard is a bomb. He's a scrub. Bust. I don't want to see him play another down for the Philadelphia Eagles. I would rather see the rugby player, I think from Australia, Aussie. I would rather see him at left tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles for the upcoming future if they do not decide to draft someone next year. Because I'm not a Dillard fan, never was. And once they put him at right tackle last year against the Seattle Seahawks, and he was like a turnstile, just spinning around, letting people in, I was done with him because all of his confidence was shot right there, right then. I was like, you know what? Fix your problems. No more Dillard. That's all she wrote on that. Maybe Zach has a different opinion.
Honestly, it's an unfortunate situation because I wasn't in love with Andre Dillard, but I liked what he did in his limited starts on the left-hand side, especially going against a Bears team where he held his own against Khalil Mack. But like you talked about, once he went to the right side, we completely destroyed him. If you guys know anything about the Giants, they did the same thing with Eric Flowers. He was supposed to start on the right side, and then due to an injury, they threw him at the left side, completely killed him, and now he's finally working his way back. I believe he's with the Miami Dolphins on a 2-year deal.
Yep.
But outside of that, if Mailata plays at least the level that he played last week, I thought he played a decent game. I didn't think he played a great game, but being thrown into fire, I think the more experience he gets, the better he's going to play. He has the athletic ability. He has the footwork starting to come down, and he's just got to make sure that he doesn't open up too wide to get beat inside because he is playing against a left guard that he has to get used to because they're learning how to play left guard in the NFL as well. So you got 2 new guys starting at left tackle and left guard.
Well, the problem with these NFL organizations is they expect an offensive tackle to literally switch to another side where they've never played before and expect good things to happen. I'll tell you, maybe 1 out of 10 times it happens and it works out for you. The other 9 times it usually doesn't. Literally before the Seattle Seahawks game, Andre Dillard was asked, how does it feel switching to the right side? And you know what he said? He was like, take the pen that's in your hand, put it in your left hand, and try to write I think it was a 4-paragraph essay. That's what he said. And they still put him at right tackle. Organizations do not care. They'll leave you out there to dry and see what happens. They just don't care. They're that desperate.
How about J.A. Happ? Well, how they started him in the second inning instead of starting him from starting pitcher spot. They literally asked J. Happ, what do you feel most comfortable doing? I want to start the game. You know what? We're going to start Devin Garcia, and then we're going to bring you in the second inning. And obviously that did not work. Same thing with Andre Dillard. You don't put him on the right side if he's not comfortable on the right side. And for a young kid still learning the left side, you don't just throw him in the fire at the right side and completely destroy his confidence. Unfortunately, if Mailata keeps playing well, then you know what? It's Mailata's job to lose, whether we invested a first-round pick in Andre Dillard or not, because eventually the left guard is going to open up, or possibly Brandon Brooks getting cut. I hope not, but coming off 2 injuries, you're not going to want to pay a guy that much money with all those Achilles injuries. So maybe we slide him at the right guard, but those are things to be concerned with in the offseason because neither of those guys are going to be playing at all this year.
No, and the left tackle position is the most pivotal position on the offensive line. It's his blind side, and you can't have Andre Dillard, who's Mr. Headcase, protecting for Carson Wentz for the next 10 years if he's not doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? If he can't stay healthy, if he's in his own head, like you can't have that. You know, you got to cut cords with him because you can't have that one play breakthrough where one of the linebackers or defensive end goes in on Carson and it's a career-ending injury. You know, because that can happen. You know, we've seen that happen before. Lawrence Taylor versus the Redskins guy. What's his name? Theismann. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor literally ended Joe Theismann's career, all right, because the blind side did not protect Lawrence Taylor coming in. That can happen, you know, and people have to understand this. That's why when people ask me, why am I giving up on Dillard? I don't think Dillard has what it takes, and he's going to get Carson Wentz murdered. He's going to get him killed, you know, and you're always going to protect your offensive lineman no matter what. Why do you your quarterback no matter what? Because he's your biggest asset. Why do you think Jason Peters wanted more money to go to the left tackle position? Because there's so much pressure that mounts going from right tackle or right guard, wherever the hell he was participating in. There's so much more pressure when it goes from the right side of the ball to the left side of the ball because you're protecting the future of the biggest asset of the franchise. That's why he wanted to get paid more. It's a huge step up for a position that he used to play. And he knows, I think he knew deep down he couldn't play it anymore. That's why he was like, you know what? If I'm going to sacrifice my body, if I'm going to sacrifice myself, putting it all down on the line for this guy just to protect him, I want more money. And the guy is already out with an injury, and he looks fat. He looks out of shape. I don't know if he's coming back this year. And you already saw it. It's a tough position. I'm not giving any negativity or negative thoughts to Jason Peters because he did so much for us. All right. But putting him at left tackle this year, it wasn't a good move. It wasn't, because coming into the season, no one got in shape. No one had extracurricular workouts. And it's like you just set Carson Wentz to get murdered. It just was not a good plan. And the front office should be ashamed of themselves. So that's pretty much all I got on that take, you know, and the Yankees just went up 4-1. Sweet. So it looks like a game 5 there. Do we have any concerns with offense putting up points in games? We got 17, 19, 23, 18 so far. You know, honestly, yeah, I mean, you got to say yes, but the problem is you got to see what kind of slop we have on the field. You know, once we get our players back and they're ready to roll, Jalen Reagor, obviously Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, when they come back and Zach Ertz starts getting open more, Dallas Goedert, I don't know how long he's going to be out for. When you start getting your playmakers back and you could have Miles Sanders run up the gut, it'll look a little bit different, especially if Carson Wentz plays the way he did last Sunday, making plays on his own. I think we'll go from a slop offense to an offense that can compete with the top 5 in the league. That's how bipolar it is. You need those playmakers on the field. And our medical staff should have gotten fired last year, but we kept the same guys, and we expected to turn garbage into gold once again, and it literally fucked us for the first couple weeks. So hopefully it was just one of those dry spells, and hopefully we're back to normal on Sunday. So, Zach, this is what I'm going to ask you. Keys to the game, final score, and what do they ultimately have to do to go up to Pittsburgh and win this game?
All right, keys to the game for the Philadelphia Eagles. On defense, stop the run game, and I'm going to keep saying it until the cows come home. Communication. I don't want to see players chasing plays. I want to see them making plays. Like, the one thing I liked about Alex Singleton is he went after the ball. He didn't wait. He didn't overthink it. He said, you know what? I'm just going to go get it. And I want Nate Gary to start playing like that. Just go get it. Stop hesitating. Stop waiting for plays to be made by somebody else. Just go get it. That's your job as a linebacker, is to chase after the ball carrier. On the offensive side of the ball, even though we're going against a steel curtain in the run game, basically don't abandon the run completely. Get an extension of the run, maybe some end arounds at the right time, not the most inopportune time. You know, get Jalen Hurts in there to try to help the run game as well. You know, we see it working a little bit. We did see it working a little bit. Saw it working a little bit, whether he likes to admit it or not.
I gotta break Zach up here a little bit. You were doing great until that point. Jalen Hurts stinks. All right, continue.
Jalen Hurts stinks, but he's running the ball pretty well. So that's what you do. You bring him in
Did
as an
we
extension of the run.
draft him as a running back or did we draft him as a quarterback?
I don't know. You'd have to ask Howie that question.
Okay, because if you draft him as a running back, if you took him in the second round as a running back, he should have been fired yesterday. He drafted him as a quarterback. And listen, the guy ain't a quarterback. All right, so you can use him as a fullback. You can use him as a running back. Stop with the Wildcat bullshit where he fumbles fucking 2 out of 3 times. I'm sick and tired of seeing it. Please stop with the Jalen Hurts unless you're going to draw up some crazy design for him. Continue.
All right, so back to what I was saying. Get the run game going as much as you can against this great defense stopping the run. And then Carson, protect the ball, make plays when they're there to be made, and abandon plays that need to be abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's it. Simple as that. Communication on defense and protect the ball on offense and don't abandon the run game.
Do you have a score?
I'm not going to give a score this time.
Oh, come on. Give us a score.
All right, I'm going to go. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm going to go 21-17.
All right, 21-17.
I'm going to go Steelers.
They're both the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think their defense is just better than ours.
All right, so last week I predicted a loss, and I ended up betting the Eagles on the money line for $2,000. I don't know how you flip that around, but whatever. This week, I'm going to be Mr. Positivity. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to go into Heinz Field, play better than they did against San Francisco, getting crucial pieces back, Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. I feel like they're going to go into Heinz Field, win this football game, pay attention, 28-10. I feel like they're going to win, and I feel like it's going to be a landslide. I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have what it takes. The Philadelphia Eagles as a franchise have to win in Pitt eventually, and I feel like this is going to be the year where it happens. And they've already proven, I know it was 4 years ago, but they've already proven that they could shut Big Ben down, holding him to 3 points. So I just feel like the way Big Ben is now, he's old. He doesn't have as many playmakers anymore. In my opinion, your opinion may be different. He doesn't have as many playmakers now. I feel like our pressure up front will get to the running backs, Snell and Connor. I feel like that won't be a problem. And I feel like they'll have to rely on Juju Smith-Schuster and Claypool to get open. And I feel like our defense is going to ball out this week. And I feel like we're going to shut them down. And the Eagles are going to win this game pretty easily. It's just how I see it.
All right. Well, they play the game for a reason, so we'll see. I'm supporting Carson because I got the hat forward, because that's how we win. Hat forward matters.
And I honestly think that Carson's going to continue his play on the field. And that's why I'm wearing his jersey. Because, listen, Carson Wentz was the man last week. The man. All right? So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. Fly Like an Eagle podcast. Week number 5. Going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every 4 years, we don't play them much. But I wish I was going to Pittsburgh this year. But COVID. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. We'll be back right after the game on Sunday. I'll try not to be so belligerent this week because I actually want to take this time to apologize to the following. I know some people said, haha, it was so funny. It was so unprofessional of me to be drinking that much during the day knowing I had a show. And, I want to thank Zomp for actually helping me out and backing me, pretty much covering the whole show. But I was so happy I won so much money that night, and it was well worth it to me. So, but if anyone got offended, I apologize for that because it was way unprofessional of me. So, but with that said, anything else you have to say, Zach?
Stay happy, stay healthy, hat forward.
Hat forward. You could wear your hat however you want. I wear it fucking backwards. So that's all there is to it. And guys. Go Birds. This is the turning point. Let's go, Carson. Let's go, Birds.
Go Birds.
We're out.